What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I have some news, have some updates. The market still, it is absolutely just a wreck compared to where it's been. And so I know a lot of people are scared and really panicking, but wanted to take some time to break down some news. We got some Ripple news. We've got some updates on Quant. Wanted to dive more into actual use cases for the token. I feel like right now, Quant in particular, that is something that is really taking a beating, and so wanted to go over that, have some Ethereum news as well, and there's been a huge announcement from Hedera too as well, and all good news. So right now, though, with what's going on in the market, these types of assets, at least assets that I invest in and talk about and going to continue to update you guys on, are things that I'm not looking at the short-term price action and getting all scared. And I get into this space because I believe in technology. I believe in just the most efficient route of something being done. And so crypto and blockchain, hashgraph, it's here to stay. And regardless of what happens in the short term, it's not going to go away. So with that being said, now let's just kind of dive right in, because this, I'm definitely a big XRP investor, and there's a lot of great news and people that follow it constantly and daily, but this is a pretty big deal here. One of Ripple's attorneys that actually was representing one of Chris Larson there on the team, he withdrew. So this is a pretty big announcement. Well, no, I wouldn't say super huge. I mean, this basically, you see here, attorney Robin A. Linsenmayer seeks formal permission to withdraw from the legal case in which she and several other lawyers are building up the defense for Ripple co-founder and the former chief executive Chris Larson. So, yeah, I mean, some people are like, it seems kind of suspicious that it's happening right now. Basically, if he were to, or if they were to just resign, if the case were about to be over and settled here within the next month, basically they would have kept the attorney on instead of saying, hey, go ahead and get rid. But it sound like they just want to be able to, or Robin A. Linsenmayer wanted to just be able to serve her notice and move on. So who knows? I personally don't think that this case is going to be settled here in the next month. It's dragged out and pushed out so many times now that honestly my expectations are really low, and my expectations are that it's just going to happen sometime this year. So thought that was interesting. Definitely the Ripple case is going to be very pivotal this year in the whole crypto space. And I do believe, I really strongly believe they have a great chance of winning. And regardless if you're a Ripple fan, or regardless if you hold XRP, regardless if you hold XRP, them winning, that will be, I feel like, a big catalyst that can spike the market higher. Right now, what's happening in crypto is just, we got a lot of just really negative things. You got interest rates, you got inflation, you got the pandemic, you got supply chain disruptions. You just got all of this stuff that's just having a massive suppressive effect on crypto as a whole. So, we just gotta buckle down. Now, I found this very interesting, so we're going to kind of move into talking more about interoperability, because that's definitely something, as you know, I love talking about, because I feel like that is going to be one of the biggest spaces of disruption, that and obviously DeFi. But you see here, Vitalik Buterin on why cross-chain bridges will not be a part of the multi-chain future. Now, there's a lot of, it seems like interoperability has been being thrown around all the time, but it really is going to be one of the most important parts of what gets adopted in the coming years, because there is so many different systems. And so basically you got the Ethereum founder here. He made a post about 11 days ago here on the Ethereum board. Ben, I'm going to summarize this for you. But essentially his argument is that cross-chain, it's not going to be cross-chain. There are going to be fundamental limits to the security of bridges that hop across multiple zones of sovereignty. So I feel like this is important to actually take a minute and kind of think about here, because it's like cross-chain bridging solutions are popular, but they don't a lot of people don't realize the full risks associated with using them. So whether this is just rhetoric from Vitalik to just, again, keep people using ETH, or whether there actually is, I'm not a detailed coder here, so I couldn't speak to the actual legitimate security risks of a cross-chain approach versus just a true multi-chain approach. But again, he's just basically saying that they are not, cross-chain bridges are not ideal because they increase the security risk in the process of transferring assets. So like Polkadot, Cosmos. And don't get me wrong, I feel like all of these are fantastic options, but his whole idea was that we're not going to see all of these different chains connecting and crossing together, because the more connections that you have, the more it basically increases security risks of those networks being attacked at those what they call attack vectors. So you got this blockchain here, you got this blockchain here. They try to cross over, and apparently that just is a weak connection there between the assets and the bridges. So, and he gives an example here. The problem gets worse when you go beyond 2 chains. If there are 100 chains, then there's going to end up being dApps with many interdependencies between those chains, and a 51% attack even on one chain would create a systemic contagion that threatens the economy on that entire ecosystem. So he just wanted to highlight the actual security risks with that. Now, with that being said, now we do know that it's likely going to be a multi-chain future. There's not just going to be one ecosystem. I know we talk about that a lot. There's not just going to be one ecosystem that's going to be the end all be all. There is going to be that multiple chain here. Cross-chain bridges remain popular among users for the simple reasons that it does offer a premium in speed and low costs, but it's a temporary band-aid on a larger problem. But as with all band-aids, they must come off. So this actually, basically, like Buterin, Kadan Stadelman, CTO of Komodo, believes that this security risk will gradually become more heightened in awareness and accelerate crypto's path towards a multi-chain future. Now, we know solutions like Quant, even though it's being murdered in price. So actually, let me back up, because even just a year ago, we were a lot, we are, $15-20, So this is, in full disclosure, I wasn't in it at that time, but the price charts, you can go back and see, I mean, we're still up from even just a year ago. So going forward, the assets that are truly going to be interoperable and that will complement the multi-chain future. So if we're not going to have cross-chain and cross-linking, then cross-chain bridges, then we're going to have a multi-chain ecosystem where you have Polkadot and Cosmos, and you have these different ecosystems. They still need to interoperate. Cross-chain bridges is not the same as true interoperability. So if we have a multi-chain future, which is looking like more and more we will, even the Ethereum founder is saying that, then we need to be looking at, well, what are those true solutions that are going to truly provide interoperability? Quant, Nervos, Cosmos, what are these top options going to be? Now, you can see here in the essentially, in the future, we're going to have both multi-chain ecosystem networks like Polkadot and Cosmos, where chains rely upon a shared security mechanism, as well as cross-chain bridges like atomic DEX that connect blockchain ecosystems that would otherwise be siloed. So this is likely going to mean that DEXs and bridging solutions will reach mass adoption. So you can just see here, it really more compares different crypto here to, different other solutions for interoperability. Polkadot, Cosmos kind of gives a visual breakdown of how they work, but they're not just going to just easily connect, because their consensus models are different, and that just basically there's going to be security risks. Quant does allow those true separate chains and threads to be able to interoperate it more efficiently and in a secure manner. Now, you can see here, this is just, I'll actually link this direct comment here if you wanted to read the full thing of what he said. But, just approaches like Polkadot and stuff, even though they are trying the cross-chain functionality, I think in the long run, it's going to end up being where there's really only one or a few truly massive type of interoperable solutions, and Quant really is going to be the only one. Now, there is a lot of FUD with, why is the price going down? Is it the team dumping? What are the uses of the token? There's a lot of people that are scared, and so I wanted to touch on some more points about why and how the token works with Quant, because it is one of those things where they've got revenue models that are they're only going to be increasing their revenue in 2022 as we have these annual licenses that have to be brought in, and the token is absolutely necessary. It's not like they can just I've seen comments, I read these Reddit posts, and people are like, well, the comments, they buy the token, they did that just so that they could raise money from retail, and now they're not going to have the token. Let me break a few things down to you here and keeping it really, really simple. Basically, and shout out, there's this really great thread from Hibiscu on Twitter here. You can see his handle, and he just kind of breaks it down, and it really does make a lot of sense. So let's just kind of go over the highlights of this and why the recent decline in price is literally just whales manipulating the market, trying to get us retail investors out. There is not another asset like Quant. These prices, they make me want to buy more, and I did. I bought more of it. But the Treasury uses our gateways for our Quant tokens that we're going to, in the future, we'll be able to stake them to help secure the network in a decentralized manner by allowing us to jointly verify all the transactions. Basically, the Quant tokens are needed for their gamified system. So this is just kind of breaking down in kind of really technical speak how the game theory works, because that is why the token is needed, right? Long story short, that's why the token is needing the game theory. Part of the famous Nash equilibrium states that the optimal outcome of a game is where no participant has an incentive to deviate from their current strategy to improve their payoff, even if it means not getting the highest possible payoff. So in gateway language, this means economically rational gateways will be incentivized to act truthfully, whereas malicious gateways will be quickly removed. So basically, if the gateway returns faulty data, then the Quant deposit gets confiscated to incentivize correct behavior. As the different gateways are placed in competition, this is where the Quant token comes in, each correctly responding gateway will be rewarded with a fee, each non-responding gateway will not be paid, and each gateway incorrectly responding will be penalized. That helps keep the network stable. That's why you need the token. Gateways are further incentivized to be truthful, as the penalty from gateways returning incorrect results will be distributed amongst the truthful ones. This game theoretic approach is enforced by the Treasury and implemented through multi-gateway payment contracts. So they've got to have the token. The just described game theoretic approach needs to be governed by a value creating incentive. That's the token. You got to have it. Staking your tokens means you're committed to the network and provide accountability to Quant. Now, we shared this chart. I saw this chart in another video, and it is absolutely just it's a great breakdown of all the different needs of it. But essentially, there's so many use cases for the token. Now, lastly here, another crypto SEQ on Reddit. This is kind of a few great little points I wanted to go over of why the tokens are needed, right? So keep in mind, as of now, the annual licenses for enterprises is 100 British pounds, which is about 136 US dollars. Now, that's per instance of you being able to access the Overledger network. If you're a large corporation, you have 1,000 people that need to be. Oracle has over 400,000 customers. So, that's many uses and individual access points to the Overledger network. So that is their revenue model. Now, the Quant token is needed because when you go in, there's some people who are like, well, they can just buy it in fiat. Yes, you can. You can, as a developer, which is the community side, or as an enterprise want to go in and drop down those tokens, you can. You can absolutely buy it in fiat, but then Quant Treasury is going to take that whatever US dollar value of that is, at the time, they're going to take that amount and lock it up in their treasury, right? So they're going to lock it up in Quant tokens. You can't get around not having the token, right? You have to have the token to access the network, right? Enterprises pay an annual license fee determined on the basis of things like the number of users of the map, the number of employees, which is the multi-ledger application there. The number of applications, the volume on Overledger. This is paid in fiat, which gets converted to Quant through the Treasury. The Quant are then taken out of circulation for the year, reducing circulating supply, right? So right now we know there's only 1.3% of Quant on exchanges right now, and the holders are around 50,000. It's only going up. It's only increasing. So these tokens, right, if it gets to the point where there's not a lot left, and for some reason the Treasury doesn't have any left over, they're going to have a certain amount. They're always going to have some left over, right? But that's the point where they would then look at offering buybacks. And now also keep in mind there's 18 decimals with Quant. So, we can really, people will be buying fractions of these. And so they've incentivized this and made it so that it can scale exponentially, right? The enterprise also needs to pay a platform fee, which is calculated as a percentage of the license. We know that they pay a consumption fee for reads and writes to Overledger as well. So not only just accessing it, but if you have to read and write it, that's going to be, you need Quant for that. So, and also on the community side, right, developers have to pay an annual licensing fee equivalent to the fiat amount. So they can pay the fiat, but it's going to be converted to Quant, and developers need to pay a consumption fee. Now, also keep in mind, in the future, when Quant launches their, community development app, and when more and more community side apps get developed, essentially they're looking at you see here, they're going to enforce a minimum wallet holdings for all participants. How much will that be? Who really knows? But what that means is, think about in the future, and I found this really food for thought. Now you've not only developers, but all participants that need to hold a minimum amount of Quant. Now keep in mind their multi-ledger app ability, where they can take, using Quant, no other system does that. Using Quant, you'll be able to pick and choose the best features of various blockchains. So we're not talking about cross-chaining. We're truly talking about Quant being the only operation and solution that allows multi-chain to exist, but still communicate and interoperate with each other. And so when you have all these different tokens and you have people that are wanting to use that, everyone is going to have, anything that wants to access the network is going to have a minimum amount of Quant locked up. That's just not limited to people participating either. That participant right here, it says it could be an internet device. It could be a thermostat now that's monitoring your temperature in your house and is connected to, or your refrigerator that's connected to the overall network now, and when your groceries get too low, it orders new groceries. Maybe that was a bad example, but the Internet of Things, it's going to be even more so. And so if the Overledger is truly the base layer value, which in all research that we've done, it seems to be, listen, how many Quant tokens are there? There's limited. There's not ever going to be any more made. So I'm viewing these recent dips, if it goes lower, I'm just going to keep buying more. So hopefully that explains more of what's going on. And really, this can be complicated. I've been researching Quant for a while now, and the more I discover about it, the more I realize, man, there's always new things there's always new things happening. So lastly, wanted to touch on this announcement from Hedera. So you see here, actually, this is pretty big. This is actually really big. Hedera Governing Council votes to purchase Hashgraph intellectual property, commits to open source, world's most advanced distributed ledger technology. So basically, the Hedera Governing Council today has voted to purchase the intellectual property rights to the Hashgraph consensus algorithm from Swirl. So they're basically really stepping up now and really embracing that ethos there, where they're evolving and truly becoming the vision that they want. The original creator of the Hashgraph consensus algorithm, which was actually Swirlds, and founding member of Hedera Governing Council. Now, the council members further made a commitment to make the code open source. So they are now open source, you see here, under the Apache 2.0 license in 2022. So they voted, you see here, the governing council members have voted to take the step to enable broader community participation, right? They're only doing this, I feel like long term this is going to open up the doors for just larger scale enterprise adoption. You can see here, the vision has always been for Hedera to be a council member driven organization, enabling the most decentralized governance. And so also here you see there Mance Harmon, the CEO of Hedera, and Dr. Lehman Baird, chief scientist, they're going to be leaving their positions today, which are being dissolved and will continue to participate in the Hedera ecosystem as peer members of the governing council through Swirlds, where they will be the CEO and CTO. So they're basically dissolving their positions at Hedera Hashgraph, moving over to Swirlds, which was actually the original developer of the Hashgraph, and they're going to be able to continue developing the blockchain. They're going to be, at this point, Hedera, and the whole idea of having the governing council was so that they would be able to grow and scale and be truly decentralized, having a wide and large governing council with vast different experiences. So this is just going to allow them to focus on making things better and continuing developing the ecosystems, just so that startups, enterprises, and different people like that can get in on it. So this is just 2022 is going to be a fantastic year for Hedera. It's anybody who sees all the things that they're working on and stays up to date in the space really can hopefully see massive news here. So I'm viewing something like this where they're becoming even more open source. That just shows they're very serious about others getting adopted. And we already know their growth fund on Hedera is larger really than anybody else. So this is just, when you start seeing all these little steps, it's really hard to take the FUD seriously with some of these projects. So guys, I know that it's scary out there. If this information was helpful, hopefully it was, leave a like on the video. I want to keep bringing these updates to you, and I know this video is getting a little long, so we're going to wrap it up, but I appreciate each and every single one of you watching. Stay safe out there. Every little bit of downturn is just, let's zoom out. It's only a short term. We know where things are going. We know where the future's going. If you're watching this video already, leave a like because you are already ahead of the curve. And I'll see you on the next video.